Questions for Coach Jackson?
I guess just what's your initial take on seeing Minnesota in the first round? Obviously, a team you're really familiar with.
Well, at this point in the season, it's it doesn't matter who you play. It's more about you and your game. But we have seen Minnesota for the last 4 years, and we know the quality of team that they are and the skill that they bring to the table, and they've had a great season. So I'm sure it'll be a big challenge.
What are kind of the hallmarks of Minnesota? Not necessarily this year's team, but just in general, what do they bring as a program when they're?
Well, I think that they're very skilled and they play with pace. They got they're a fast team. They're a good transition team. They've got a lot of weapons. They're not just a one-line team or two-line team. They've got 3 good scoring lines, and they're always deep on defense. So, and the kid in goal has played really well for him this year. He struggled in the first half of the year, but he really turned the corner and really came on in the second half. So I would expect them to be very balanced top to bottom.
How would you say the Hockey East has prepared your team for postseason play?
Well, just the last 6 weeks. I mean, it's been a grind for us, and we've had to play some very tough teams and some very talented teams, and we weren't happy with the way things finished out in Boston, but we had a really good second half, especially the last 6 weeks, and we have to try to build on how we played against Providence 2 weeks ago and even 4 weeks ago. So all in all, we've beaten a number of the teams that are in this tournament. So we have to just make sure that we're playing at our very best at the most important time of the year.
So what do you think you guys got to work on in order to beat Minnesota?
Well, every team brings different challenges. Certainly UMass Lowell, the team that we just played, brought totally different types of challenges than what Minnesota's going to bring. So, it still boils down to what we do with the puck and our game with the puck. I mean, that's where we got ourselves into trouble against Lowell. We manage the puck well. It doesn't matter if we're playing a grind-out type team or if we're playing a high-paced skill team. We have to do a good job with the puck and minimize the opportunities that the opponent will create from those mistakes with the puck.
Jeff, when you think back to being 7-6-2 and now getting back into the NCAA tournament, reflect on how this team really turned things around to get to this spot.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do just with growth. You have 4 underclassmen defensemen. We were young back there, and we felt the growing pains of that. And then to go hand in hand with that, we're not necessarily the most experienced team up front either. We've got a few juniors that are big contributors, but really it boils down to our youth and experience over the last 2 or 3 months and understanding how we have to play to be successful. Our forwards, if they do a good job with the puck, minimize the mistakes that are created by those turnovers, and putting our defense and our goaltender in awkward positions. And we did a pretty good job of that for the most part over the last half of the season. And if our young defense is playing with a lot of poise and good puck decisions coming out of our zone, and our forwards are doing a good job with the puck through the neutral zone, that's where our team has success. If we do those 2 things, it makes everything else easier for us.
How much does the stretch run of games that you guys had, where pretty much you had to win these games to get into the NCAA tournament, help you now that you're there and win or go home?
Well, the stretch run certainly made us a better team. I think it brought us closer together in the way we play. I think that if we can get back to how we played against Providence College right away again, we had the one blip against UMass Lowell, and it's the first time for that whole group, with the exception of the 2 seniors that we have, that have been in that environment. And now, having been through that, going into this venue, it should be a little bit easier for us on the big stage, but not as big a stage as Boston Garden. So I think that that'll help us in the fact that it'll feel more like, even though the intensity level will be higher, it'll still feel more like a normal college hockey game in Manchester.
How much of a motivating factor do you think that blip against UMass Lowell was, the fact that you guys probably didn't come out and play the way you wanted to?
Well, that team certainly had our number, and I thought we were poised to do better. I think that we never make excuses, but our depth has certainly been impacted over the last few months, And that shows up against a team like Lowell that's really deep, that has 4 lines deep and 6 defensemen deep. And, not having Cal Burke and Connor Hurley, those are 2 guys that were basically second-line guys for us when they got hurt. So that's impacted our speed, it's impacted our special teams, it's impacted a lot of different areas. But, we played without Hurley, we played without Joe Wegworth, we played without Nardella for extended periods of time in February, and our team came together during that time. So, it's just a matter of the chemistry. Losing Cal Burke was probably a bigger impact because it's impacted not just the depth of our second line, but it's impacted the depth of our third and fourth lines. So we have to find a way to overcome that. And, we did it against Providence on the second night, but their depth had been shaken up too, and because of injuries. So, this is a situation where we've got to make sure that we can answer 4 lines, come Saturday.
How do you go about wiping the slate completely clean and kind of getting everyone to kind of refocus and realize that this is a new season? Do you think that'd be an issue with this group?
I hope not. I always talk to them about putting themselves in position to win a championship. We did that with the conference. We did that with the playoff championship. Now we have an opportunity again. It's never an easy road, but the last time we went to Manchester, we made it to the Frozen Four. So we have to remember that if we play the way we're capable of, we can beat anybody. Like I said, we've beaten probably at least half and maybe more than that of the teams that are in this final 16. So I think that that goes to show that if we're dialed in, we can beat teams that are ranked in the top 4, the top 10, and the top 16, because we've already done it throughout the year.
And so given all that you just said, how likely or how possible do you think it is to meet somebody like Cornell or one of those other top teams in the Frozen Four?
Well, it's the field is so strong, and once you get to the top 16, first of all, we have to be proud of our guys, to recognize that there's a number of teams out there that would love to be playing in this event. Out of the 60 teams, we're one of the top 16, and we have to take advantage of, the opportunities ahead of us here, and that's Saturday. We can only focus on Saturday right now, and if we're fortunate to move on, we'll focus on the next opponent when the time comes. But for the time being, is that we just have to worry about the Golden Gophers and plan on playing our best game of the season.
What do you do to keep your guys in the moment, not from thinking so far ahead to a possible second game in postseason?
Well, I think that's a maturity factor. I think our guys have learned to be able to deal with the one game at a time philosophy, one shift at a time, because it's really, I've been trying to emphasize to them, it's not so much about the challenge that's ahead of us, it's about the opportunity that's ahead of us. And there's a different mindset if you're just focused on the opportunity that's ahead of you. And we have to get back to doing the detailed things that we did 2 weeks ago against Providence. We did it very minimally against UMass Lowell, and we just have to get back to those things that made us successful 2 weeks ago.
Coach, you started the year talking about how you wanted Cal to be the closer, and now you are in the postseason, his importance and how ready he is for this big opportunity.
Well, this is a growth period for him too. He was in this event a year ago, and I'm hoping that experience in Cincinnati last year helped him. The experience in Boston Garden last weekend, I'm hoping that's going to help a lot of our guys, but certainly you hope it helps a guy like Cal. He's a mature young man, and he's been through a lot of situations over the last 2.5, 3 years, and hopefully all those accumulate to put him in the position to where he can be dialed in. Because like I've said many times, is we're only going to go as far as he takes us. But we have to provide him some coverage too. We have to provide him some offense, and we have to provide him situations where he's not going to be forced to stop odd man rush situations all the time.